Hello, crypto boys and ghouls, and welcome back to the channel, Tales from the Cryptmancer, where we feature content on play and earn games on the blockchain, such as Splinterlands. And in today's episode of Mavchat Bytes, we pull a clip from tonight's Splinterlands TV stream where we talked about relevant topics coming out of the Mavchat Discord. And you're going to want to stick around for the end of this video because we get some great alpha dropped to us on an upcoming feature of the game that Weirdbeard let us in on. So stay tuned for that. And then in the meantime, let us dive into some of the topics around bots and tournaments, as well as alpha gold foil tournaments. Should be an interesting discussion. Let's talk about what's been happening in the Splinterverse today on October 22nd. And there's some interesting conversations that happen in the Mavchat on Discord, within the Splinterlands Discord. And I want to talk about some of those topics because, again, as we mentioned at the beginning of the stream, unless you're paying attention to everything going on in Mavchat, which happens quite rapidly, you can miss out on some pretty important conversations. Now, the first conversation that I think we should probably have a discussion about today and just review was this conversation talking about bots in tournaments. And first off, I just want to say, I don't know if this is accurate or not. This is all hearsay. Like, no one can prove anything here. So I don't want to call out any specific names or any specific behaviors or anything like that, because we've seen, for example, with, I think it was Zen Sports, with the whole UAUE, Half Blue, and Schnapoon bot thing, that was not a good look, right? So we have to be very careful here. But I wanted to share at least the conversation that's being had. Again, preface it with none of this is, let's say, provable, or we don't want to sully anyone's reputation in the game, right? Their ability to play as a player or anything like that. But the conversation happened in Mavchat, and there were some pretty strong opinions today about it. And what you can see here is Hossein, Yasik, and a couple others who I believe are all OGs themselves, with multiple years experience in the game, had mentioned that there's a number of top players from the same guild who are also on the top of the champ leaderboard, are dominating tournaments as well. And the comment was made, there's been rumors about a certain bot that exists within a certain circle of players that has been running for quite some time. And this is not a bot that's available like Archmage to yourself or myself, but it's a bot that is, members club only. And there's some comments here, where Yasik is saying, hey, I felt surrounded, and they're all using this bot, right? And there's some comments here that followed saying they just do what is allowed, taking maximum profits from ranked battles and tournaments, and it is what it is. And the Mavchat continued around this topic, and Yasik had proposed some potential solutions here. And I thought it was interesting to see is, they're not just, let's say complaining or whining about an issue that may or may not exist, but they're also saying if it did exist, here's some things that the team could look at doing to make things better. And you can see here what Yasik had proposed is, doing some stat buffs daily, or having a Joker card that on a daily basis could rotate in and out and be like card of the day, and basically change compositions that a bot couldn't calculate necessarily easily, or other things like that. And the recommendation here is to make it harder for bots to play optimal teams based on mana caps and rule sets. Now, one can say that you can program a bot to adjust for a daily Joker card or a weather card or something like that. So it's just another AI program logic to add to the bot algorithm. But until land comes and we get items and spells with some kind of dynamic game calculations happening, in theory, if this bot is running it out there, it's going to continue to do so, and there's really nothing that can be done to address it. So you can see here, Neil had mentioned as well, talking about, you could have essentially a weather condition with ambient conditions changing it, so you have to adjust your strategy. So again, these are all just essentially band-aids to fix the issue in that, when you have a game, whether it's chess or poker or Splinterlands, there's going to be the chance for some AI to be used from a technology standpoint that can be viewed as, well, if you're a user of it, probably beneficial, and if you're playing against it, probably a challenge. So Bootops is saying that they do calculating by mana cost. Does it make you a bot? No, it makes you a student of the game, right? So it's an interesting discussion from a philosophy standpoint. I don't have any specific answers on this topic other than to say that it's hotly debated and contested amongst different, folks in the community at large. There's definitely arguments to be made on both sides of the fence here. And it's something that I think is not going to go away anytime soon as a conversation. It was interesting to see. It was a little bit of some of the OGs having the conversation about it today. Now, there wasn't really much representation on those that may be using the bot, perhaps, talking about it. So maybe their silence speaks more than anything. But again, we'll probably never know. I mean, they may not be using a bot, or if they are using it, they may not admit it. And that is just the way it goes, it looks like. When was this discussion, Max Maka? It was around, I think, you can see the timestamps there, between like 10:30 and 11 a.m. Eastern today. So another topic that came up, which was also pretty spicy, that, just to discuss here as well, because I think it was interesting, was the whole alpha gold tournaments. And this was an interesting conversation here. You can see this happened around the same time frame, and Azurkhan basically pinged Weirdbeard and says, do we need this tournament anymore? And basically showed that there's a 25 SPS entry for a tournament that pays out $4,000, over $4,000 in rewards. And what was basically said is, hey, there's only 27 players in the game that are even playing in this tournament. And why does this tournament exist? Can't those $4,000 in tournament funds be used better elsewhere for new players and to incentivize players in other parts of the game? I mean, $4,000 is a lot, honestly, in SPS tournament rewards. You could fund literally dozens of silver and bronze, possibly hundreds. I don't know, maybe not hundreds, but certainly more than a couple, more than 50 probably, or $4,000. So it's a a valid question, I think. And what the comments here, I'll just read some of them. If you can't see the text clearly on the screen because it's a little small, is that Killjoy had mentioned that what Weirdbeard said is technically the same old agreement that OGs can get this alpha tourney as an airdrop. And then there's some comments that all alpha tournaments should be removed, as well as commentary saying that alpha tourneys are super niche for selected few and it's taking a big chunk of SPS, which could be used for tournaments which are actually onboarding more players, and they don't need a weekly handout. And then what was interesting here, and by the way, shout out to Gank. Whether you love him or you don't like him, Gank wears his heart on his sleeve here. I mean, he's not going to mince words, and he's not going to shy down from a fight, but he's also going to tell it like it is. And you got to respect that. And what Gank says, and by the way, Gank is one of those 27 players that regularly plays this tournament. And I think places usually in the top of this tournament. And what he says is, it's crazy that the modern Diamond Gold foil Wealthy Gambit and the modern Diamond League of Champion pays less than the Alpha Diamond tourneys. And he says that the Alpha tourney is the only one he ever gets top 5. And he continues to say that they definitely could have the payouts here. So this is Gank, who's obviously a participant in these tournaments, knows the value that they add to his bankroll, basically, in Splinterlands, and says, look, it's probably not right. They should take some of the funds and put it elsewhere in the game to better the game ecosystem. And you got to give Gank credit for that, because that's just an honest statement, and he's looking out not for himself. He's basically saying it's probably better for the game if we look at this. So mad respect to Gank there for having the courage to say that. And what comes up here is, you can see that there's a posting here by Killjoy saying that 27 players joined, and you can't even lose money on it. And basically, it's a 25 entry fee, and the top 28 players get paid out 920 SPS. So just by entering the tournament, you're basically making 900 SPS just for showing up. You just have to win one battle in the tournament to get 900 SPS. And this tournament runs, I think, once every couple days. And basically, the comment here is similar to comments we've had on the champ rating and SPS rewards. Is, if you watch my video on YouTube recently, anywhere from like 0.26% to maybe like 0.07%, I think was the number, of the current real human player base or real player base is eligible for champ rewards at end of season, not even during the season. We just saw that less than 50 people are in modern champ right now on the leaderboard, or even playing in the league, and they're getting 30% of the daily SPS rewards. And here you have 27 players in the entire game. And let's say you go off Peak Monsters and we have 150,000 daily players, or you go off Commander Chaos's data, which says we have like 80,000 players. No matter how you slice or dice that data, 27 players out of 80 to 150,000 players is like nothing. Yet these 27 players are making, whatever 900 SPSs a day or a tournament minimum. I mean, that's $54 for rolling out of bed. And, is that the right usage for tournament rewards or tournament funds from the SPS treasury? And, it has been running like this for the last year plus. And the question is should it? I think it's a valid question, is because just because something has been working doesn't mean things have changed and needs to be looked at. Now, the counter argument to this, obviously, and I think Biz brought this up, is, you can't have members in the community up in arms every other day with pitchforks and torches saying, hey, take rewards from this group and give it to someone else, because that doesn't promote a healthy ecosystem or game environment as well. And I understand that point too. I mean, you could, single out any type of reward in the game, whether it's SPS airdrops for land or tower defense packs or no license holders. All these people have invested some form of money or investment in the game to get eligible for those rewards. So it's also probably not fair, if you use the quote fair words in air quotes, to go and change the rules and take rewards away from groups that have invested accordingly to the rules of the game. So there's arguments to be made on both sides of the fence. And I think it's an interesting dilemma, because it just goes to highlight that, there's not really a lot of black and white here. There's a lot of gray and there's a lot of nuance. And these are hard decisions for a DAO and for a community to navigate. And you can see here, Azurkhan says, in the grand scheme of things, it's not a lot of money, but it's terrible visibility for the company. And Hossein says, this one tournament's rewards is more than one whole week of his tourney prize in all the regular tournaments, which is an interesting data point. And you can see more comments here. It's not about being bad. It's a tiny, easily exploit that can be easily sealed with only maybe 3 to 4 people complaining. And Killjoy is saying can probably fund like 100 more tournaments with the SPS here. And what Shadow Wolf says is the OG alpha cards are rewarded greatly when SPS airdrop started, then through the tournaments, then the daily rank bonus rewards. Trimming down the free tournament payout is probably fair. And, he's looking to say, can we repurpose some of this SPS fund to attract new players? And it's a valid statement. And the one comment I had posted in Mavchat today was basically, to say, sometimes it maybe is good to look at the allocation of rewards. And if 27 players or less than probably 0.1% of the entire player base is getting let's say possibly perceived excessive rewards, it's maybe something that we look at and saying what is better for the entire game. Like, don't maybe take the rewards away. They should be rewarded for their alpha cards for sure, but maybe the amount that's being rewarded is not really what the community or what the game needs, right? Just because someone arbitrarily put this reward structure in place, 14, 16 months ago, doesn't mean it was the right thing to do. No, I mean, maybe it needs to be looked at. I think that's a fair statement. And, my only comment really on this topic in Mavchat was, sometimes we need to look at, the broader ecosystem and say, what is the best course of action for the game and the overall player base? And that's what I think what Gank's, opinion was here is, let's look at it. It makes sense because honestly, it's better to be a well-fed shark in a giant ocean than a bloated whale in a small pond. That's just my opinion. And it goes to, again, as a metaphor, talking about, looking at the overall bigger picture when it comes to some of these ecosystem rewards and the balance therein. So let me catch up on chat. I wanted to just share some of these conversations, and I see Weird Beard is in chat. Weird Beard, welcome to the stream. Welcome to the stream. I know this topic of AlphaGo tournaments is something that you've looked into, and definitely looking forward to your comments here. Let me catch up here. So I think this is very timely, Weird. I think you'll probably get some comments here in chat. I know you've seen some in the Mavchat, but for you, I know you're a man of the people. So if you want people's unbiased opinions and feelings, well, you'll probably get it here on Splinterlands TV. Again, there has to be value added for a battle pass. Because if there's a cost associated with that battle pass every month, for example, which I assume there would be, there needs to be value for that pass, like substantial value. Because otherwise, I think players in the Web3 environment would look at that to say, hey, we're now taking the worst parts of Web 2 and bringing it into Web 3, and now we have even more problems. So as long as a battle pass is priced in such a fashion that the value it brings is additive and opens up value for players, new players or old players alike, then I think that would be received very well by the player base. If it's seen as a gate and a requirement that just adds cost to playing the game, I think it could perhaps drive players away. So I'm looking forward to seeing what your concept is and how it can add value to the experience and to the players. So looking forward to that for sure. I know you're working on that and putting a lot of thought and effort into that. So, again, let's see. Weirdbear is saying, oh, getting some good alpha here. Battle Pass locks your league in so that you get automatic entry to any of the tournaments that you pay for, but it makes it so that you're locked into a single league level for the entire system. Additional tournaments available only to Battle Pass members as well, and exclusive skins, titles, and trophies for the upcoming trophy room. Look at this, boys and ghouls. You heard it here first. There's gonna be a trophy room in Splinterlands coming soon. I don't know. This is the first I think we're hearing of this. Exclusive skins, titles, and trophies for the upcoming trophy room. Interesting.